Welcome back to Touring the AFC South. I'm your host, Mike Patton. And of course, not always do I talk about the AFC South. I do have to bring on people that I think are very, very interesting, very, very talented, and just overall are excellent people. And my next guest is definitely an excellent person who is just wears many hats and I've been blessed to actually cover and I am blessed to actually know Miss Jessica Kern Huff. What's going on?
What's up, family? It's so good to see you.
Good to see you as well. Now, of course, I have to ask because I look and I see on social media and you're doing this, and that, and the other. And I'm like, okay, cool. You know, philanthropy work with the foundation, basketball coach, different levels. I mean, you're a mom to two boys. I mean, the wife of a head coach in football. I mean, what is it that you do not do, and how do you find the time?
Listen, the stuff that y'all don't see is my absolute favorite thing that I don't mention is doing construction. That's the fun part. I get to tear stuff down and build stuff up and get some stress out. So I've got the same 24 hours as everybody else. Um, and you know what? And you know this, I mean, because you were right there by my side. You know, when I chose to leave collegiate coaching, I knew I had to be able to live the life that I wanted on my terms. And that's where we're at right now. We're living it on my terms. And so I balance it when I can balance it. And the way I do that is creating very strict boundaries. You know, if I can't, I can't. And I'm okay with saying I can't. While ago, I was not. I wanted to, satisfy everyone and do everything and all things all the time. Can't happen. So right now I'm working smarter and not harder, and I'm able to cover more ground with defined boundaries.
Definitely a interesting pair of words, define boundaries. But of course, I didn't want to jump all the way to the story now. We have to go back just a little bit
Okay.
where it all started. How did you get introduced to athletics growing up?
Oh my God. So I tell my son I think this is gonna be him too. I got a lot of energy now. So as a kid, I couldn't sit still, like ever. And so my dad, he was the founder of the Milwaukee Striders Track Club, him and Joe Sims in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And it started with track. I was a bantam, which is starts at age 5. And I ran anything from the 1, the 2, the 4x1, the mile relay, long jump. I mean, whatever my dad threw me and I did. And that was my introduction to athletics. But I do think I got it honestly through osmosis. My dad was over a 30-year basketball and track and field coach. My aunt was an athletic director. And so when you're around it, that's all you know.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, my dad was a actual basketball player and played in junior college, and my mom was ran track and she played basketball until something happened and she didn't play, which I'm pretty sure she doesn't want me to mention that story, and I won't. But yes, I definitely got it the same way there. But of course, the athletics and that career lasted for a while. But of course, you transitioned to coaching. So, kind of, how was that transition from playing and being active as a player to coaching? How did that kind of formulate and go?
Well, I think you get to the point, my bio, didn't play college basketball, played professional basketball. And I wasn't always the most talented, but I did outwork people. And when I realized that I sort of kind of saw the game from a different light, like I really enjoyed X and O's, I really enjoyed scheming, I enjoyed execution, it was really easy to take the step over to coaching. My first coaching job was with my dad at his high school as his JV coach. I was the worst JV coach on the planet. I didn't have any patience. I didn't understand why kids didn't know things. I was never on time. Like it was the worst. It was the absolute worst. I broke my dad's clipboard. Um, Um, but shout out to all my educators because we're in back to school. Coaching is teaching. And the biggest connection for me was I wanted to teach life and I love sports. And they sort of kind of went hand in hand. So when I was done playing, I ended up being like a player coach. So I was getting dual paid my last couple of years to coach and play. And I knew it was time to make the transition. So you see me. I mean, I'll coach BJ's eight-year-old to 10-year-old basketball team. I'll coach baseball games. I just like being out there because everybody's got their why, and mine is sports. Like I just love how it ignites something in kids, and I think it allows them to see maybe beyond what they're surrounded by, and that's what sports did for me.
Now, of course, the coaching and your why being, the coaching involved there. But I've got to also talk about the motivational speeches because I see these on social media all the time. And I'm like, she's got people ready to run through a brick wall for her with these.
But you've been there for this. You know, this is not new.
Right. I know it's not new, but, I've got to ask, when did that kind of part of you evolve?
I was a good teammate. I can pride myself in saying I was a really good teammate. Like, if we were down, in my mind, I never thought that we could lose. I was a cornball, I guess you could say, in college. I had to make a lot of bad decisions, but I consider myself a really good teammate. So I might have missed out on the typical college things that a college student should have done. But I came from, listen, if somebody's going to give you this much money to go to school, you got to get her done. And so that's where that part came from. Believe it or not, I was a really, really, really shy young girl. Again, that's what athletics. Oh my God. If I could have been a color, I was beige. I mean, I would blend into the background because you got to understand, like my high school team, everybody literally went SEC and Big Ten. I mean, they were signing like huge scholarships as sophomores. And I was this track girl who happened to play basketball. So it was just a lot of loud and proud individuals on my high school team were the winningest program in the state of Wisconsin. So I was a role player and I had learned to start, dimming my light, muting my voice, knowing what I was saying, but there were other people that were scoring 30 points a game and it wasn't me. And so I got really tired at a certain age of being like, I know what I'm talking about. And it's not cool that people aren't listening to me. So it went hand in hand. If you perfected your craft as an athlete, you won. And when you won, you got to the mic. And when you got to the mic, you needed to know what to say. And then I realized like, life sort of sucks. Like it sort of sucks. Like there are just a lot of days where you don't want to get out the bed, can't pay the bills, don't understand things. People have treated you crappy. Well, that's the cool part about athletics. Like you get to keep pushing the reset button. So that sort of kind of came my thing, like making opportunities for people where there may not have been opportunity. And I realized that wasn't normal, but I wasn't finding a lot of female motivational speakers. So if you Google, you're still not finding a lot. You find people in ministry, you find people in administration, but you're not seeing a lot of female motivational speakers. And I was like, listen, I do this naturally. And then I started meeting people who were like, why don't you brand this? Like, this is a thing. And it worked out. So I took from the locker room, life experiences. And then when you throw mommyhood in there, it gets real. And we just want to have a real conversation.
Right. Now, I have watched some of the most recent speeches. And of course, they've been talking more about recruiting and things like that. So how did you kind of go down that path of talking about more of the recruiting and things of that nature?
So when I was on the collegiate side, I would get so many kids who we were ready to sign, ready to rock and roll, and they hadn't even started the process. Like no paperwork. For example, there was a lot of kids out of state of New York. State of New York is notorious for closing schools, opening schools, closing schools. Could not get a transcript. Like couldn't go to the school board, couldn't get a transcript for a school that was closed. And I was realizing we got so many stellar athletes out here who have no idea like how to even start the process. And so then when I came more on the amateur side, I was like, well, this information should be free. Like you shouldn't have to go places and pay for it. No, I'm going to tell you what college coaches are thinking, because there's a misconception out here. If I can just put the ball in the hole, if I'm bigger, faster, and stronger, like I'm gonna go to college. It matters that you go to class. It matters that you're a nice person. Yeah, that sort of kind of matters. And we're seeing more and more in that. Don't let me go on my soapbox because I will. With amateur and professional athletics, a lot more money, a lot more problems, like a lot more amplified, a lot more social media. So like being a nice person really matters. And then this last one, AAU coaches that I used to still deal with to this day, because I'm getting a lot of AAU kids that are now coming to my program, and they're like, these kids don't know how to talk to coaches. Like, text message is not enough. Being able to pick up the phone, have a conversation, know what questions to ask, other than do we get cost of attendance, NIL deals, how much money am I going to get on my refund? Conversations have to go beyond that. And then what happens is you can't talk to your college coach in the recruiting process. Then you don't talk on the court. Then we go into the transfer portal. Hello. Like, it all takes care of itself. So I'm like, we need to hit this when they're young. And I want parents and coaches to know, especially coaches transitioning from playing to becoming a coach, you got to educate your kids early. It makes the college experience that much easier. So really, relationships, you and I, this is a relationship. We were very intentional about being relational. I don't know what game you want to talk about. We want to talk about Arkansas. We want to talk about at the crib. We want to talk about like how many games afterwards. You were like, are you ready? And I'm like, I am not ready to talk, but let's do it. Because it has to get out there. The message has to get out there. So that's how that started. I just want to have conversations with people that change their life. Conversations you and I have had on and off the mic changed my life. Whether I admitted it at the moment or didn't, it changed my life.
Oh, wow. I feel kind of blessed by now, right now.
Listen, but, in that media room and it was just you and I and nobody else. Yes.
Oh my goodness, all the memories are kind of flooding back. But I have to mention now that, of course, you are the wife of a college football head coach. Now, did you ever see that kind of coming, one, and how is that experience going?
I was married to my work. Never in a million years did I think, number one, I would be married. Let me say that. And number two, that there would be anybody on this planet that could get me to be quiet. And both of those things happen. When they say you marry like your total opposite, it feels really good to be able to be yourself. That feels really good. And then to watch your colleague sort of kind of live their why in a different light, in a different way, right? Like, so my husband is amazing in front of the camera. He's got a million one-liners, a lot that I write down. I'm like, yeah, I got to use that. But then he comes home and he is so melancholy. He is the quiet in every storm. He likes being dad and doing boy things with the boys. And so I'm like, I can have this. I can have this. And it's going well. But this is not, I know, a show for relationship advice. But the one tidbit I tell people, you got to let your partner be them. Like, you can't go in changing. Not I can modify. Everybody talks about flexing and pivoting, but you cannot change your partner. And he lets me be me and I let him be him. And we're 2 years in, and I'm telling you, there's nobody else I'd want to stand next to. So he fell in my DMs. I'm going to keep saying that. He jumped in the DMs on Twitter. And now here we are. So
there we have it. Yeah. There we have it. A social media love story. There we go.
But anybody want to brand that? Anybody want to brand that?
Oh goodness, yeah, I definitely wanted to bring you on, of course, talk about of course, all the different things that you've done. I mean, the foundation, I mean, that keeps following you from place to place and city to city. How did that idea kind of come about?
Yeah, so the foundation started really working at underfunded programs. And we didn't have enough money for two things. We didn't have enough money to give my staff end of the season bonuses. And we didn't have enough money, like come postseason play, to have championship shirts, maybe an additional pair of shoes, buy media equipment to do film breakdown. So I was looking for supplemental income. And I'll sit in I like sitting in with the 5-year-olds. You know, that's the one thing in camp. People are like, I do not want to do the itty bitties. They speak my language. Kids don't disappoint you. It's adults that disappoint you. So it started with that. And then our camps were different, right? Like, they were engaging with kids. I mean, I don't know if you remember at TSU, our Kids Day, we sold out Gentry. And kids want to be a part of something fun, right? And not just get dropped off and picked up. And so we made a lot of money with it. And I was able to tell my assistant coaches thank you and give them end of the season bonuses. And then we were able to start each season in the black. So then from there came the service component, where we ended up doing community service events, book bag drives, church events. And again, there was a need. And I just wanted to be the person that people called and was like, hey, we got a gap we got to fill. Can we help this out? That ministry turned into, here come the scholarships, right? So when I left TSU, we did the scholarship, and I realized, like, it's just not at HBCUs, it's at PWIs, it's at NAIAs, JUCOs. Kids need to fill the gap. Like, I got just enough financial aid. I got a few scholarships, but I'm 500 short, 1,000 short, 2,000 short. And I'm like, okay, if we can go out and eat hundreds of dollars worth of food when we go out, if we can go out and kick it and all this other stuff, but we can't pay for kids to walk across the stage, like, that's not right. And so that's what the foundation turned into. And so what happens is, when I go and do all these speaking engagements, that goes into the foundation. And then Kern's Closet is the nonprofit side of it, where I'm able to give scholarships to kids. And so it's been fun, man. Like, it's fun. And TEDx just recently, last year, never in a million years did I think I'd be doing something like that, and 41 and pregnant, and having to finally say, you know what, I am very comfortable telling this story as to why I stepped away and why it was worth it. And it all fell into place. And so now we've been blessed enough, which is the other tier of things that I said, you're actually getting this, just you are getting this. I do property management. And I've gone into the cities we've been in, especially in those areas that are being gentrified, and bought properties and developed what that city needs, whether it's mental health facility, whether it's a gymnasium. And I've had more of a blast doing that and finding out what our people need. And so when they say, a first lady has to serve, I was already serving. My husband just happened to get the job.
Nice. Now, yes, that adds, let's add another thing to the list of things you do.
Now, I can tell you what's not going to happen. I'm not going to be broke. We will never go back to being broke. So my husband always says, why don't you sit down somewhere? I said, is the house clean? Do we have do we always have food? You have a meal cooked every single night, whether you take it to work or you don't. Kids are fed. Kids are doing well. We're all right. We're all right.
Right. Now, for those that don't know, can you please tell them what school your husband
Absolutely.
coaches
We are at Marshall University here in Huntington, West Virginia.
All right. For those that aren't aware, he was the top recruiter for Alabama before he became the head coach.
Yeah. We've had a heck of a journey. And I got to say this, if you can't learn something from your mate, you got to reevaluate. I've learned so much from him in the recruiting process. If I ever jump back into it, you hear me say, if I ever jump back into it, let's just say I'll do things a little different.
Gotcha. Now, of course, we've gone over a lot of the multitude of things that you've done in your career and done, from growing up to now. But of course, at the end of every show, I always have a game.
Oh God,
I have 4 questions for you.
Okay.
And I've got 2 answers. You got to answer one of them. Are you ready?
Is pleading the fifth an answer?
Oh, well, I did have a lawyer on the last one, so.
Never mind. Okay, I'm ready.
All right. Now, of course, track or basketball, which one do you love more? Did you love more?
This is sad because I went to school on a track and field scholarship, but I'm going to say basketball.
Basketball. Okay. Now, of course, staying in basketball, I'm going to ask you to pick between 2 legendary players.
Okay.
Cheryl Swoops or Cynthia Cooper Dyke.
Ooh, that's so wrong. That's so wrong. Coop, don't be mad at me, but Swoops. Yes, Cheryl Swoops.
I had to ask. So,
yeah.
Let's see. So, which one do you enjoy more, or did you enjoy more, coaching or playing?
I'm going to say coaching. Yeah, I think coaching. Yeah. It
Okay.
meant more.
Got you. Now, your motivational speaking or the philanthropy? Which one?
Oh, philanthropy, hands down.
Got you. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And I've got one more for you.
Okay.
Since we talked about track, let's see. Jackie Joyner Kersey or Flojo?
Okay. Here is a fact that not many people know. For 4 years at Penn State University, I had a Jackie Joyner poster hanging right over my bed, even when I got my own apartment. Met her for the first time in St. Louis 3 years ago. So Jackie Joyner, hands down, that is exactly who I wanted to be like.
Okay. All right. Well, you've successfully navigated the 5 questions and the 2 answers, or the answer for all of them, I should say. I want to thank you for coming on. Thank you for your time. And the floor is yours if you want to talk about anything you have going on, where people can find you on social media, anything at all. The floor is yours.
Absolutely. All my social media handles at Coach JK Huff, JK_Huff. I would love for people to just come and follow me. You're not going to find anything other than family, faith, and positivity. We do our absolute best to sell the journey, but also selling hope along the way. And when I say we, it is my village. It's me and my village. I couldn't do this alone. Anytime you are looking for someone to come and speak to your organizations, to pour into young people, corporations, teams, visit me at jessicakernfoundation.com. And if you are looking for a brand, everybody loves a t-shirt, everybody loves a sweatshirt with a one-liner on there that serves young people and that goes to scholarship, kerninclusive.com. I just want to thank you so much. I have to say this. There was a time in my life where little did you know that a smile, you got it, taking time to even be there, speak to me on horrible losses and even on, moral victories. It meant everything to me, Mike. And so it is not a coincidence you are where you are. Good things happen to good people. I'm here. My family is here. And the one thing I think we have to do in this life is when people have blessed you, and you are blessed, you have to bless others. So anything I can do to make this come full circle for you, brother, thank you so much. I don't think we ever would have thought we'd be sitting right here having this conversation right now. But ladies and gentlemen, if you don't get anything from this conversation, this is what life is about. It comes full circle, and surrounding yourself with good people matters. So thank you. I really appreciate it.
You're going to make me blush and turn purple over here. Stop it. Oh, goodness. But thank you again for coming on. Thank you again for dropping words of wisdom and motivational words as well, because every time I hop on social media, you're going to give me a word and be like, okay, cool. Let me think about that. Let me digest that. Let me think on that one. And it's every single time. And that is truly a gift and a blessing that God has provided to you.
Thank you. Thank you. And my info is all the same. My personal info is the same, brother. You got it. Hit me up anytime.
Yes, ma'am. You got it. Now, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. You've been tuned in to Touring the AFC South with your host, Mike Patton. We're out.